Ja zapraszam następnego prelegenta. Będzie to pan Paweł Łotecki. Wystąpienie odbędzie się w języku angielskim, ponieważ 2 z dzisiejszych wystąpień są zaplanowane jako w języku angielskim. Z tego też tytułu, że oferujemy również studia MBA w języku angielskim. Więc pan Paweł Łotecki jest wykładowcą naszych studiów Executive MBA oraz Global MBA. Jest ekspertem od globalnego łańcucha dostaw. Posiada ponad 15-letnie doświadczenie w biznesie zarówno w Polsce, jak i w Niemczech, zdobyte w międzynarodowych zespołach poprzez organizowanie globalnych łańcuchów dostaw oraz systemów logistyki. Pan Paweł zawzięcie kwestionuje status quo, poszukując najlepszych rozwiązań i konsekwentnie wierząc w moc ciągłego doskonalenia. Swoje doświadczenia zdobywał w branży automotive, w retailu, a również w e-commerce i Q-commerce. Jest ekspertem do spraw zarządzania projektami, pasjonatem Web 3.0, a w wolnych chwilach także MTB, skrót ten oznacza Mountain Terrain Bike, czyli chodzi o jazdę w terenach górzystych. Tytuł wystąpienia pana Pawła brzmi następująco. E-commerce rapid growth impact on supply chain trends. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. That would be correct. Thank you very much for a warm welcome. I can see that you are located somewhere in the proximity of the Wrocław Market Square. And just today I've learned that Wrocław has become the third largest city in Poland. So that shows the potential of Wrocław and the community here as well, most probably driven by the fantastic universities as Wyższa Szkoła Handlowa is true. I mean, I always believed in that, but we can see it being confirmed by the numbers. So a warm welcome to all the students as well and the guests. I'm honored to have a chance to speak about supply chain and current trends and of course impact on the e-commerce today. I find it personally very, very attractive, and I'm very excited about all these topics. And I hope to share this excitement and build or create some curiosity among our listeners today. I will start with a brief introduction of myself and the company I started. Then we'll go to the supply chain status quo. So we'll see where we are with the supply chain. And then, of course, we'll focus on the e-commerce, the background. I will provide you some facts and figures, as I'm basically the facts and figures driven person. And then we'll see about the outlook into the future and the trends, because I think that there is still a lot ahead of us. And this will be an extremely excited opportunity for everybody who are in business. And when we think about education and developing ourselves, I hope that the lecture today will support some of your decisions. So as Professor Szymańska said, I have this 15 years of experience, and I've been always supporting different supply chain and logistics initiatives. And then usually when I joined the business, when I joined the customer, the company, it was about a business transformation, about all the opportunities, unlocking all the opportunities. So I believe that within this 15 years, I changed so many companies, so many teams, and so many processes that I find it as well one of my strengths, together with project management. I had a chance to work in Poland and in Germany, and when I started counting recently, it turned out that it's like 50-50. But what I always stress is that working in Germany meant working in Düsseldorf and in Berlin, extremely international societies with many people, open-minded, which as well contributed to my development and gave me an opportunity of learning a lot. And then the areas I've been working in is in the pure industry, automotive, retail, and then recently, the last 2 years, it was e-commerce and Q-commerce. And this is crazy interesting. In the past times, I believed that automotive is super interesting, of course, with all the lean tools, lean topics, Toyota and Six Sigma. I was really very much into all these topics a couple of years ago, and then recently I find e-commerce and Q-commerce even more attractive, and that's an even bigger opportunity for professional growth. And all this as well started when I started the Omni Solutions company, where we provide all the supply chain diagnostics, where we support in digitalization, building digital twins, supporting you in choosing the software, enhancing communication. But it is as well about the general process optimization and efficiency increase projects as a transformation project. And a couple of other products. I encourage everybody to reach out and to get in touch with me if you would be interested in understanding an opportunity of our cooperation. So to the point, supply chain management. This is what I'm doing for a living for the last 15 years, dealing with the supply chain management topics. And I continuously meet people who don't really understand what supply chain management really is. Everybody understands logistics, like the trucking, moving things with trucks here and there. Of course, warehousing, that's the obvious things. Many people as well could agree that procurement, buying, hopefully even supplier management is a part of supply chain. And then for some, the most enlightened one, the customer service. But what for me, the key function of supply chain is the integration and information sharing. And this is obviously done together with performance management. So I believe that supply chain has this function of building bridges and putting everybody in one page. And in the 21st century, it is, of course, all data driven. This famous master data that maybe you have heard and that many people is crazy about. But it's really essential to have the right data at the right time and to share it and to enhance communication with the data. And I believe that that's something that distinguished the best supply chain. But supply chain became popular within the last years with a couple of events happening in the background, not without the reason. I mean, obviously, the first and the most important and very recent was COVID-19. So the pandemic, which started in November 2019 in Wuhan and then hit Europe at the beginning of 2020, it just put everything upside down. I mean, the whole societies has been locked down, has had to stay home, factories has been closed, there was no manufacturing, no shipments, obviously no cross-border movements, the borders has been closed, not only between Poland and Germany and Austria, but global supply chains has been broken. And this has paid a huge impact and a tribute to understanding the importance of supply chain. I think that this was one of the recent events where everybody started to really wonder, how do we do the supply chain? Where do we do the sourcing? Because think about the whole globalization. So 60s, 70s, the years 60s, 70s of the 20th century, where everything has been closer and closer, the globalization effect, moving factories to China, everything went so smooth. The cheap labor in Asia, everything could be moved with the big container ships. And then COVID comes, everything is locked down, no ports, no ships, no shipments, no cross-border shipments. This was really an event that paid a lot, has made a huge impact on the supply chain understanding and supply chain anticipation. And then the second one was, of course, the blocking of Suez Canal, the Ever Given ship, the 400-meter ship operated by Evergreen, one of the biggest, one of the largest ships in the world. It blocked, now I would say, the Suez Canal for just 7 days. But I remember very well this March last year, where every day, the first thing I did after waking up, I was checking the Suez Canal is unblocked, because basically 450 ships has been stuck before or after the Suez Canal, depending on the perspective, but around Suez Canal. And this has been like another event that dragged the attention of management, of leadership teams, of businesses to supply chain and supply chain execution. Of course, as well, in April and May 2020, massive delays and creating backlogs in industry because of lack of deliveries. And then there is the third event, which I didn't mention on the slide here, but there is, of course, the Russian invasion on Ukraine, where again in February and March this year, all the supply chains has been broken. For example, the wiring harnesses in automotive industry were not delivered anymore, creating again a backlog in delivering of the cars. But now we see that this was still not the most important cause or effect of the war, but then the gas prices, the oil prices going extremely high. This had even bigger impact on supply chain. So it's all about supply chain. Supply chain is being more and more noticed as a discipline. And this of course makes me happy. Maybe not with the events that created it. But today, talking about supply chain, I wanted to mention e-commerce. I think that this is a brilliant opportunity for everybody who would still look for their way in professional life, or who would be keen on adjusting it a bit. Becoming an expert in e-commerce supply chain could be an extremely interesting opportunity, because as well, this is a very young discipline. So if you look at the history, then it all started in 1979, where the whole e-commerce term has been created and defined. And then 2 years later, the first order has been submitted on the business to business level. And then in 1984, so not even less than 30 years ago, 40 years ago, sorry, the first business to customer purchase has been done, and obviously not with a PC, even more obviously not with a phone, but with a TV. And then the year 1994 came, with Pizza Hut making the first online delivery available, with Netscape introducing SSL encryption. The guide to the WW was renamed to Yahoo and created. The first online banks has been opened. So a lot has happened in e-commerce in 1994. And then 1 year later, in 1995, Amazon.com has been started, and ActionWeb has been started. ActionWeb is now known as eBay. So we obviously see that this is a very young discipline, and this is still something that is going to be developed a lot. How does it look in Poland? In 1996 or 1997, it was quite difficult to establish now when exactly, but in 1996 and 1997, the first Polish online store has been established, Torrent. When I tried to Google it, unfortunately, I didn't find too many data about it. It went down quite fast. But then in 1997, Empik and Merlin has been launched, and these are the brands that are still available on the market. In 1991, Allegro has been started, and Allegro is huge. Allegro even managed to kind of kick out eBay from Central East Europe. And then already in 2001, 500 e-commerce stores has been launched. So I think that we caught up very quickly after USA and after West Europe, and we didn't have any backlog in kicking off the whole e-commerce in Poland. In December 2021, so end of last year, we already had 52,000 stores active in Poland. So tremendous growth, tremendous increase. And how does it look from the sales volume perspective? So by 2027, the value of e-commerce market in Poland will grow from 92 billion zloty, Polish zloty, to 187 billion Polish zloty. So this will be, again, the growth by 50% more or less in how many? In 5 years. So I don't know many other disciplines that would grow this fast. 54% out of this 187 millions will be done in fashion, in electronics, and in health and beauty. So all this e-commerce has to be fulfilled somehow, and that means creating a lot of new warehouses, creating a lot of new supply chain companies, supporting fulfillment. I think that this growth will impact the way we do logistics, the way we do supply chain a lot. But I will come to that in a second. Quickly, why e-commerce? I mean, according to the report that has been shared by Genius in 2021, the most important reason is opportunity of doing shopping 24/7. The second most important reason is lack of necessity of leaving home and having to drive to the store, 72% of answers. And then the third reason was unlimited decision time. I would be curious to ask you now if that corresponds with the reasons why you do the e-commerce, why you use the e-commerce in your daily life. But maybe we're gonna have a chance to discuss it towards the end of my session. Of course, we do the purchases with laptops, with smartphones, through applications, and not only desktop computers, but as well through tablets and books readers. And this is interesting. This I found extremely interesting, that there's really so many channels to sell online. I would as well like to mention the ROPO definition. So research online and purchase online, because this is obviously the trend in some categories. There are like 3 main categories where we tend to do that really often, to do all the researches online, go through all the pages, forums, compare products. But then in the end, we get into the car or into the tram and we go to the store and we buy it. So that would be building materials, furniture and decorations, and shoes. And there is as well a term of reversed ROPO, reversed research online and purchase offline, which would be basically research offline and purchase online. And this is valid for all the TV and then audio, hardware, accessories, shoes, and perfumes, obviously. What is interesting is you see shoes here and in both categories. So apparently there's equally big group of people who prefers to try on shoes at home and then buy it online, as the other group who prefers to do it in the other way. Here, I would love to mention what is happening with banking in the e-commerce world. I mean, banks are being closed. We don't need the physical banks in the cities. This is impacting the banking business a lot. And even recently, when I've been opening an account in the foreign market in Germany, openly speaking, I've been astonished how I can open the bank abroad, sitting at home in my home office in Poland, just having the camera, showing my ID to the camera and so on. Unbelievable. And this for me, I mean, digitalization of banking shows that actually everything can be digitalized in the e-commerce section. Then we should mention showrooms, because quite often the stores doesn't play a role of a store itself. It's more like a showroom. So sellers are obviously aware that we as customers, we tend to go to the store to touch the product, to feel the product, to see how it feels to grab it. But in the end, we're going to finalize the transaction from home. And then at last but not least, we should mention here as well the whole topic of returns. And returns in e-commerce is a completely different section of like a completely different discipline, with dedicated warehouses, dedicated companies growing just to handle returns. And to mention that obviously that's the most important topic for the companies, because whenever we return the product, we create a huge supply chain cost for the company. But I will get back to these returns in a couple of slides. Let me serve you the last statistics within this presentation. So cross-border logistics. Which foreign markets are the most popular in Poland among Polish customers? So it is stated by Poczta Polska, who contributed a lot to this report I am referring now to. Poczta Polska stated that 25% of shipments came from Germany, 20% from China, only 20% from China from me, because I would say that with all the AliExpress craziness, even more people is buying directly from China. And then 40%, to my surprise, from the Netherlands. Poland is not the country which is doing the cross-border purchases that often. 10% of the purchases was done cross-border. 17.5% is the European average, and 30%, 17.5% is the global average, and 30% is the average in EU. That shows that when we think e-commerce, when we think about buying and selling online, we shouldn't like narrow ourselves just to Poland. I mean, this business is global. Theoretically, it's super easy. We just translate the web page to different languages, to German, to French, to English, to Italian, and then we can deliver to any place in the world. Of course, if we have a good logistics service provider who will enable that. But that is not that easy. And here, there's another opportunity in supply chain, the very specific function of 3PLs. 3PLs stands for third-party logistics, like an entity which is dedicated to do the stock maintenance, shipments, incoming delivery, inspection, stock keeping, and then all the other processes. So for all the online sellers who would be keen on kind of focusing on negotiating the best prices and defining the assortment, but they don't feel like they are good in logistics, that they have all the skills and capabilities, they can just sign a contract with the 3PL, and this 3PL will do anything they need to fulfill the order. So the 3PL will take care about the physical movement of the goods. They will receive the product from the supplier, they will store it, they will do the picking, they will do the packing, they will do the quality inspection. If necessary, they can put any kind of documentation into the package, and then they will deliver to the customer. Then they will as well help to do the return in many cases. So that would mean that the customer will return to the 3PL. 3PL will unpack it, will check it, will put it back onto the shelf, and will sell it whenever the seller will find a customer again. And then the seller, like for example, myself, I can still sit in my home office and I don't even have to go to the warehouse. I don't even have to know exactly where the warehouse is. It's all about the 3PL taking care about the physical flow of the products for my company. And this trend is now unbelievable and is actually obvious, right? With this significant growth of e-commerce. I mean, there's more and more people who decided to open an online store, but they don't have time to keep this 20, 50, 100 boxes at home, to pack it on a daily basis, to print the etiquettes, and to put it into this, I don't know, big blue IKEA bag, and to go to the post office and to spend there 2 hours in the afternoon, like addressing and shipping all the packages. Therefore, we have the 3PL, and there is like a company called Elogy, which is as well one of my partners, business partners. And then Elogy is allowing all that plus the cross-border logistics. So if you are a seller, an online seller, and you would like to sell your products in Italy, in Spain, in Portugal, in Germany, in Czech, or in Romania, you just get in touch with Elogy. You connect with the IT solutions, your business with the platform, and then out of the sudden, it is just enough that you translate the web page, and out of the sudden, you can start selling in Portugal, because whenever the customer buys products in Portugal, Elogy is taking care that this product is within 48 hours delivered to Portugal. So this is a very, very important trend on the market. There's plenty of these kind of companies, and this means as well a lot of new technology solutions being implemented. Alternative to that is a dropshipping. Dropshipping is the solution where the seller, after selling the product, is getting in touch directly with the manufacturer, and manufacturer is shipping directly to the customer. Of course, it is the most efficient solution. So I sell products, I sell whatever, I sell phones, and then whenever I sell a phone, I get in touch with the supplier and I say, hey, dear supplier, I've sold your phone. Please send it directly to Wrocław, to Paweł Łotecki. And then I receive the store from the supplier. There's no warehousing cost, no additional shipment, no additional inbounding, outbounding, picking, everything done directly from the supplier. Cool, very, very nice. But at the same time, whenever I want to return product, it's already a problem because supplier will not receive it. I should send it back to the seller, not to the manufacturer. And then the problem as well pop-ups when when the customer buys 2 or 3 different products, because then the cost of shipment is going rapidly high. For these kind of situations, I would definitely recommend the 3PL. And then maybe at last but not least, in the trends, I would love to mention ECommerce. I mean, this is unbelievable what has happened on the market, especially in West Europe. It started in Germany with Gorillas. I mean, in 2020, Gorillas company has been started. Hans Sommer has started it in his own apartment. He bought a couple of fridges, and then the first deliveries he did from his living room in 2020. And now the company is worth 3 billion euro. I mean, they opened 9 different markets. They Gorillas launched more than 200 locations and is huge, or was huge. I had the pleasure of working with Gorillas for the first 6 months of this year, but unfortunately the situation with Ukraine, which was impacting all the economy, created Gorillas backing off from some countries and closing some departments and reducing the teams. But still, I mean, the growth of Gorillas between 2020 and 2021 in like 18 months was, I think, spectacular and will not be repeated for a long time. But Gorillas is not unique in this ECommerce world. ECommerce stands for quick commerce. It's like instant fulfillment. 15 minutes and you have the product. Sounds crazy, but you can try it as well in Poland with Jush, with Lisek. Maybe not with Frisco because that's a different model. But in general, it is in general a trend that these grocery deliveries play more and more role in the whole e-commerce world. In the past, we've been buying shoes, clothes, maybe electronics, but now more and more people is interested in buying grocery. So to sum up a bit, because we have like 4 minutes left, which kind of trends I see for supply chain? Obviously, from my perspective, in my humble opinion, it would be definitely e-commerce and ECommerce that is going to grow and will create a lot of opportunities for all the people who are keen on dealing with this topic. Of course, growing e-commerce and ECommerce will trigger warehouse automation. I still believe that there is a lot of potential in supply chain software because we all know SAP, but SAP is not that flexible, is very difficult to implement, and foremost expensive. There are, of course, alternatives by Microsoft and NetSuite and some other suppliers. But what I observe on the market is that there's plenty of startups, 3 to 4 people creating a fantastic software solution. I mean, Allogy is one of it. It's a group of people, enthusiasts, supply chain enthusiasts, who created a fantastic WMS system, warehouse management system. And it's available like that very quickly, very easy and quick to implement and thousands times cheaper than SAP. And then something that I find super interesting and very unique is supply chain finance. So approach in financing different activities in supply chain is going to play bigger and bigger role. An overall conclusion, supply chain importance is growing. I mean, in the past, we've been just the logistics guys, the guys who were in the dirty and dusty warehouse, receiving the pallets and shipping the pallets and blamed when something has been missing. But with the exposure we had in the recent years, I really believe, and I'm sure that supply chain importance has been understood. And as well, I believe that supply chain can empower the competitive advantage. So it's not about like lowering the manufacturing cost with implementing lean solutions or Six Sigma solutions. It's not about having a competitive design by hiring the best designers. I think that now getting the right products at the right time, at the right quantity, is really something that can distinguish one company from the other. And obviously, the demand for supply chain professionals will grow. And I think that I reached the end. I will be really open for questions. I hope that if I will say that we are discussing with Professor Szymańska about opening as well a supply chain opportunity among all the MBA programs wouldn't be too much. But at the same time, I think that if you are interested in MBA program, there's so many interesting opportunities in Wyższa Szkoła Handlowa already today that for sure you will find a lot of interesting programs.
Yes, that's true. Thank you very much for recommending us, and thank you very much for your brilliant speech, because it was very powerful. It gave us a lot of things to think about, and it told us a lot about the possibilities of the future development of e-commerce and Q-commerce. So thank you once again.
Thank you as well.
I'm sure that we've all enjoyed it. And if anybody else has got some questions, you can always write us an email, or you can place your question on Facebook, and we will be very willing to answer them.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again. And yes, it's true that we are working actually now together with Paweł on a new MBA program. It will be connected with supply chain, or it may be called logistics management MBA. Anyway, it sounds very exciting, because logistics is just after IT the most developing branch of our industry. So hopefully a lot of logistics managers will be required on the market. So this program definitely will be fulfilling their needs. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.